All right, we're live. Episode
Nice.
9 of the Contractor Compass podcast. Today we are talking specifically about creating customized solutions for high-value clients. So if you're a company that serves only high-end clientele, or you want to, or you think that's who your ideal customer is, we're going to walk through different things today that you packages and so forth that you might be able to put together to get to those people and how you should brand the company and how you should show up. And I'm sure we'll go a lot of different directions here. But I will
Always do.
yeah, usually I toss this to Jace or Tom to open up.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just telling the guys before we went live here that we just brought on a new company, an installation company, as a partner, and they are solely focused on the more high-end client. They very, very easy service, right? They do blow-in installation. It's mostly cellulose, fiberglass. They're doing it in attics, right? And what they've done is actually super smart. It's a younger guy who owns the company, and he's really in touch with his clientele, and he's actually done a very good job. I was quite impressed talking to the guy. What he's done is he's put together certain packages, and his whole thing is attic renovation, right? But in reality, it's just blow-in insulation. But he's doing some extra things that normal people aren't, and he's adding that in, and he's creating these packages that seem super high value, which
Right.
they are, right? They're a better service for sure, but because of that, he's able to sell it for much more, and to a much higher end client. So where the other guys, average Joes, are just selling blow-in insulation, hey, we'll come in and we're going to blow 6 inches of insulation or whatever it might be, right? This guy's coming in and say, hey, we have this package, this package, this package. These are the things it does. He's also partnered with a lot of pest control companies, which
There you go.
is massive for him. I mean, he's 27 years old. He started the company a year ago. He's crushing. He's got partnerships with huge pest control companies, and he's created this market for high-end installation, removal, and install with these attic renovation packages. So just kind of an example of how when he goes in, and these are installation guys that are listening to this, you're probably like, I do all that, right? Yeah. Well, how you package it, you may be able to do a higher price and to a higher, a higher clientele. But he's giving like a, hey, free air seal and attic sanitation with every install. Certain things that he does during removal, he walks the customer through that process. Hey, we're going to spray down the whole attic. This is going to reduce, the ceiling, the attic as a separate compartment is going to, when your HVAC system runs, it's not going to pull different fibers and things into the home, the affect air quality, all this stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Trust of the client, higher ticket price, higher clientele that he can serve. He's crushing doing that.
Yeah, and that's what they honestly expect on that level, right? So
correct.
If you are in that area where your clientele, like I said, I mean, there's definitely been some clients I've managed, and they're the ones in Seabrook, right? They're on big islands, Kiowa Island, Seabrook Island, Johns Island, things like that, and these homes are anywhere from $1 million to millions, like the Shack, and 10 million your average home looking, right? Like what is going on out here? But these customers,
what's going on out here?
Yeah, and it's insane, and they're all up on sales. They all sit super high, and as you roll through there, everything's gated community, and they want that level of service because they're used to obtaining that, and that's what they seek when they even go out to do their basic shopping. I mean, it's a mentality thing. So you got to understand that as a business owner, and that's the reason why. First and foremost, your first step going into anything is never prejudge, right?
Yeah.
And here's where a lot of business owners shoot themselves in the foot just getting started, is they take their own situation and determine how the outcome is going to come based on how they would respond. So for instance, and your technicians do this all the time. Like, man, I can't afford $10,000, and I wouldn't do that. So they shy away and they stray away from that.
Correct.
Now having go ahead, buddy.
I'm just saying, we run into this all the time. The question that you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah, 100%.
Let the decide what they can afford. And that goes into financing and everything else. Ask them, can they afford the payment, or can they afford the job? And let them.
Absolutely.
It's their decision, not yours. Don't pre-qualify somebody in your own head.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And then as you're in the person's home, those ones are tough, right? So there's always a an element to a business. Hopefully you have some sort of process going in. You're trying to connect with the customer. Usually that's where your awareness is going to be, where you're looking around the house, you're trying to connect to something to connect with the customer, right? And have that conversation and get that trust factor built. But when you're walking into $1 million homes and these people are just non-existent, you're going to have to really understand the culture of the people.
Correct.
And to your point, Colin, is absolutely, it's handled completely different. All the way from the door all the way in. So you're doing the white glove service.
We can start from like ground up, how you show up, how you're presented, how you're dressing, how you present packages.
Yeah, shirts tucked in.
Yeah, 100%.
Food's not sitting in your beard.
Yeah.
Your booties better be on.
Yeah.
It's a yes, sir. It's a yes, ma'am. And it's not because people are higher than any other people, but if you are going to service that caliber of individual, you got to know how to present yourself, because in their circle, that's how they operate. Everybody's yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And
act the part.
Yeah. Don't sit there and kneel down on the floor and start rolling around with their puppy. I mean, it's just not things like that you don't do in these people's homes.
Correct.
So, but then you get, and some people just don't like to, operate at that level. But as far as packages go, then you're talking about services. Okay. Yes, you definitely want to put some thought into it. You want to do your homework, and you need to pre-build these out. Unless you do have technicians that are going to go in there and really understand it. And if you're on the installation side, I really like how that guy's doing it. He's throwing a couple things in there that are a little bit in connection to what he's doing, like pest control, things of that nature.
Yep.
And then just, building that into his overhead. But if you're on the AC installation side, sorry, not installation like that, but you're installing full systems for people, you're going to really want to start looking on the higher end technology side of things. This is where they really click with that culture that I've noticed. Is it's going to be your ionizers, right? And you're providing IAQ and keeping people, because they love sanitation, clean, the next best thing, right? So you'll go in their house, everything's probably smart thermostat. But that's how you're going to build your packages out. You're not going to go in and be offering, and no knock to any brand out there, but you're not going to be offering a Goodman, a builder grade solution, unless they are a builder, right? But if it's an individual that owns the home, you're not going to go there, because perception is their reality. And
one
how to perceive them.
One thing too that I want to mention before I forget it and escapes me, something that Tom was saying earlier that we were kind of talking about that makes sense. So in terms of how you were saying that, if a sales guy is selling it, or a tech is selling it, or whatever, and they're kind of letting their emotions reflect on the product, or even an owner, right? So if you're an owner listening to this and you're running your own sales calls in your smaller business, so you're listening to this podcast, you're trying to figure things out. When you're sitting down and you're like, hey, I want to, you want to play a bigger game. You're like, hey, I don't want to play this game with all these guys. I want to play a bigger game. I want to serve this type of clientele. I want to be their person, right? I want to be their company that helps them. And you're sitting down and you're building these packages. Let the market tell you what's going to sell and what's not.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you might think you might put a package together for $25,000, and you might think that's fucking outlandish, right? You're like, this sounds crazy. Like, I would never, but you are not that person, right? These people, if you're showing the value and you're doing a good job, right? Let them set the price. So, I mean, you throw it where you want it, or where, now you don't even have to feel comfortable about it. Put it out there. And if you have to come down, the market's going to tell you got to come down, but you might get in there and sell it for $30,000, which, you had it before you walked in the home, 10 minutes before you decided to put it to 30 because it was 15, and you're like, screw it, I'll try it. And you'll sell it and you'll be like, holy shit.
Yeah, how did that happen? And that's the thing. But and so if you are a price seller, and everybody knows who's in sales what that means. If you're a price seller, it will be a culture shock for you, and it will go both ways. You'll walk in thinking 30 is going to fly easy, and it's not going to at all.
Correct.
You're going to think financing ain't even an option, and all they want to do is finance. These people are individuals kind of in that class, and what we're really talking about is really kind of the higher end.
Yeah.
The ones where you got you got the servant answering the door, the butler's taking care of things.
Yep.
It's very seldom that you're seeing the homeowner around the house, or even like we did one, and there was 5 floors to this thing, rock wall gym. It was $15 million home, and we're trying to find our way around this place, and you're getting lost on every level. And then they're having dinner parties while you're there trying to work. Like, good luck talking to the homeowner.
I saw you coming through. I didn't get a chance to say hi. That was my place. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
no, that's good. No, that's good. So yeah, and that's really kind of where, you know, I remember those calls, man, being in those people's houses and just the feeling that it'd be. Now, you do shift, right? You shift into a whole thing, but again, booty's on. You know, if you're putting runaways down, being out of people's way. You know, but being there with a sense of confidence too, right? Because you do belong, and you got to make sure you have that sense of confidence while you're there doing that. So I would say definitely you want to do your homework ahead of time. You don't want to go in and try to be, if you're, you know, the one man show, you don't want to go in and this is not the place to be the cheapest one on the block.
They might not work with you just because you're cheap.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
They're like, no.
Because in their mind, cheap is bad.
Correct.
So you can go in, and they've done study after study after study on this, where they've taken two purses and stuck one down, you know, 5 spots from the other one, and they put a price tag of $20 on one and $120 on the other, and the one for the $120 flew off the shelves, and the one for $20 sat there. Right. They've done this time and time again with product after product after product. So, you know, people they associate quality with price. And it's, you know, it's just the world we live in. So I would say, you know, I mean, in my world, I definitely say you're going to be looking at technology type things on my world.
Let's drill in a little bit to get some specifics. Cause obviously, you know, the HVAC side is a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Some stuff for installation, but let's drill in on that, Jace, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what can they actually look at to build these packages?
Yeah. So you're going to be staying with your high efficiency systems, right? You're going to be staying with all your smart systems. So you're going to be looking more into things that are your 97, 98%ers. EPA made a big change in 2023, in April of 2023. They changed kind of the game for everybody anyways. A lot of systems have to be high efficiency. You're going to be looking at really high efficiency, going green. A lot of them do want to go green on this way. So you'll be looking at options that can play into solar. If you are doing things inside of the HVAC world, one of the things of insulation teaming up pest control, teaming up with solar on HVAC when you're offering in the area, that is fully electric, like down south here, we can do pretty much fully electric systems, heat pumps all day long. So you can team up with solar companies, but that's that play on to offering that white glove service that they don't have to go nowhere. This is going to help you. They love to save money anywhere they can. Yeah, they'll spend $30,000, but if you tell them it's going to save them money, they want to be business savvy, because to them that means success, right? So, so you're looking at that. You're looking at ionizers, right? Things that's going to go in their system that's going to relate to a clean house, right? Things that they know that's going to help with their air quality, right? Put them that step above. Here's the other one. This is a big one, and a lot of people wasn't doing this, but it's the essential oil, the whole home essential oil diffusers. So these were really big in some homes that we started going into, and we were one of the only company in the area doing this. And you take the thing, you plug it right into your whole furnace upstairs into your ductwork, and this thing has a whole big canister that goes into your attic, and it literally sends essential oils throughout your house.
I have never heard of that. That is wild.
It's insane. Yeah, the smell. So your house smells phenomenal the whole time. Yeah, it smells great the whole time. And then also too, I mean, there's a lot of people in that culture that has, I don't want to say culture, but in that dynamic that have the holistic idea, right? They understand that they're eating super healthy, right? They're doing exercise. They love the essential oils idea. That was a game winner every time you pack it. I wouldn't package that with somebody that's living honestly in a $120,000 house.
Correct.
To them, they're like, that's way too extra for them.
We know we're talking to blue collar guys right now. You can get a little foofy if you need to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We know this podcast. We're the same type of people.
That's it.
Throw some essential oils down. Just
the essential oils.
Bring some sage when you come in. Say, hey, no, maybe not.
And here's the thing: it's not the don't bring in the scratch and sniff book. They don't want to. I tried it. It doesn't. I'm like, here, smell this. I'm like, here, smell. no, don't do it. They look at me, they're like, I am not putting my nose by that book. Oh, my bad. I'll go get you your own sample. Yeah, man. True story. That was a true story, man. Yeah, I was so excited, man, when we first started selling these things, and I got this whole book, right? And you can scratch and smell the scent on it, and I'm trying to get it over to the table. After about the third person rejected me, I was like, yeah, I got to find a different way to do it. Oh, man. But I'll put it this way, man. Those things, and we tested it, man. We tested it. We put the packages together. We sold the same packages to all our customers. Yeah. And the ones on the islands were the only place that it honestly sold, and it sold like hotcakes. And it was part of the package. I mean, obviously, we had our increase built in. But it's things like that. So you got to look outside the box when you're doing that, because a lot of HVAC companies, like you said, I've never heard of that. And you've probably never seen one in someone's home. No. You walk into a house that's a multi-million-dollar home, honestly, in your mind, you almost expect that to be there, right? You know, you're like, hey, this is a $10 million home. Here's a fancy thing. It's got the elevator, got the weird thing happening in the shower where it cleans like some weird spot that probably shouldn't be going. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then now you got a whole.
If anybody can see Tom's face right now, he's
exactly. Yeah, I mean, if the water's shooting up from the floor straight up at high power, we got a problem. So it's a shower. Right. What's going on here? And then you got a
shower I've ever been in.
Yes, exactly. I love this one. Man, you're taking an hour shower every time now, Tom. What's going on? Oh man, he's feeling like he's 10 again. Oh man. So then you walk in, right? And now they got that whole home essential oil diffuser that's going through their entire house. And that's just a big part of the play into it, right? So you know, it's things like that you're really going to be looking at, and you can do a ton of research on stuff like this. And I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to tell you the price right now. Base price cost is about $2,000, less than a whole home dehumidifier. Yep. And this thing is such an add-on for your company if you're working with that caliber of individual. So cost isn't crazy. If you want one in your own house, I told the wife we're probably going to get one in here because the smell is insane.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, 100%, man. They're incredible to have. So not a lot of maintenance at all.
So that's killer. So let's go back to this. Kind of touches base a little bit what we talked about one of the other weeks when we were saying how you have to know your clientele. I think we were talking about branding. We were talking about branding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in terms of like building everything from the ground up, knowing that clientele. So let me ask you guys this on what your thoughts are. Do you think that if a customer wants to serve a higher end client, do they need to know that from the get-go, or can they decide that 5 years into business and adjust?
I mean, honestly, so here would be my opinion, and I'd say this because when I did work with a company that was on the islands, they were more local, right? They wanted to be with the locals, and because they were born and raised on the islands, and they wanted to be with the locals, but the shift had taken place where these new developments came in and just kind of was wiping out the locals, right, in the last 10, 15 years. And the whole entire environment switched. So they had been established for 35 years. So they had to make a transition, and they did have to flip the script and start not really only servicing, but really kind of making an 80%, switch over to just the higher end. And everything did change. Logos changed, name changed, process changed, prices changed. I mean, everything changed. As far as that. So your approach does have to change. So I don't think
they were able to do it though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, but you gotta understand they had been around for 30 something years. So if you're just getting started and the initial investment is what gets a lot of people. Yeah. You don't want to invest in one direction and then understand not knowing that it's gonna cost a little bit more money to switch to a whole different process and setup. Yeah. So it's just wasted time. So I'd say definitely from the get-go, unless you're going to do it in, 10, 15 years, you'll be fine. Get established, grow. Yeah. But understand what comes with establishment is branding, is name, is reputation. So if your reputation
from that is going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So if your reputation is already branded at such and such company and you're taking care of the locals, you're good price, medium ground, it's going to be really hard. You're going to have to do what a nightclub does. You're going to have to change your name and completely disassociate yourself here. Just you branch off, right? Create a whole new one. I was just
going to say, like, as the owner, if your face isn't the name of your company, right, you can swap that. You can just create a second entity and run those resources you already have into that one. They might not even know. I mean, hey, I just heard this the other day. I didn't know this. Rolls Royce is owned by BMW.
Yeah.
And if you pull I just saw a video on this. If you pull apart a Rolls Royce, you'll find a bunch of parts with the BMW logo, and it's from a car that baseline's at like $120,000.
Oh my gosh!
And you're still going to pay $2 million for the Rolls, but brand. It's
brand. And here's the difference: you walk into a BMW store, and then you walk into a Rolls Royce store, and look how your experience is going to be
exactly.
Different.
Yep. So, and it's this behind the curtains. It's the same thing.
Same thing with what is it, Range Rover and Ford?
Yep,
right?
100%.
So,
yep,
yep.
100%. Tom, Tom, did you have anything else to add on that in terms of like my question on what you think people should do when they're starting out, if they're looking for a high-end clientele, if they should do it right away or if they can do it later? I'm just curious.
Well, there's all different type of social aspect that you get involved with. I mean, join the country club or whatever, that costs money, obviously.
Yeah.
Or the yacht club or where, whatever's pertinent to you, or the, go where your clientele socialize.
Yeah.
And get involved with benefits or different things like that. But you can make money off of all different economic customer bases, right?
Yeah.
But typically, to Jason's point, as it goes up in the economic scale, so to speak, then the potential for gross margin goes up, right? Where as opposed to the very price sensitive, hard to get approved, people buy payments, but for those people that are credit challenged, it's
you're clawing at a losing game
versus 8,900 is a big difference in their mind, as opposed to the higher end where they're less price sensitive. It's more about your appearance and giving that higher end customer the confidence that you're the man, you know what you're talking about, you're going to fix their issue. And by the way, you're over there looking like, I see the date on that hot water heater. That seems like to be about the same time as this HVAC system. How about we just go on and take care of that while we're here and just be done? Then you don't have to worry about that. That's because we're going to be here. One trip, we take care of it. Sure. Right.
And on that, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah. And your result is always is different. And this is where it really will strike you, is they're more proactive on that side of it because they can be, right? They have the financial means to be. Correct. Okay, yeah, you're saying, it's a little bit older. I don't like old, right? It's like a pair of sneakers. And my daughter said this the other day. Yeah. She's like, hey, I want some new roller skates, right? I said, I literally just got those for you 6 months ago. And she says, yeah, but Daddy, you can afford it. And I looked at it and I had to have that heart-to-heart conversation with her. And there are situations where people carry that mentality when they start making a lot of, right? $5,000 to somebody making $1 million a year isn't anything. So just change it out, right? So your approach, a lot of technicians are not going to have that same approach.
Correct.
With your middle income opposed to your higher income individual. They're more proactive. You can point out the hot water tank's 5 years old. It's probably a good time to look at it. Like, oh yeah, you think you got a problem? Yeah, we do. Cool. All right, let's just change that out right now.
Yeah.
Your middle income person, they're gonna say, hey, listen, I ain't got the budget for that.
If anything, it might scare them away. Exactly.
You're
trying to sell me on everything in the house. Like I don't want.
You can kill a deal that way. Right.
Correct.
So there's two different approaches, two different training.
Always the fear that I don't want to push for the hot water heater because I can lose the sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's your being the professional technician that you are. I just want to bring to your point.
We could break that. Yeah. We could break that down. That's sales in general. Right. But no, I think we're all on the same page in terms of that. I was going to mention something too. So I talk to, I hear a lot of guys, we speak to hundreds of companies a year, right? That are talking to us and my reps and trying to tell us what they do and who their client is and if we can work with them and if we should or shouldn't or whatever. I hear a lot of guys like, oh, those aren't our customers. We're getting leads that are this. They aren't our customers, right? And I like that. And they're trying to do this whole higher end client, but they're not the high end company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, guys. Oh, they are customers. No, you want to say they're not your customers because you like them because you get a couple of them here and there and they pay and they're easy to sell, right? So you are a customer, because you have no process, you have no sales skills, you're not the company.
That's
So it's like,
dude, that's the nail on the head. And it can exhaust you.
Yeah.
But I would say to definitely that point, man. That's a great point. Is if you are going in that direction, everything we have said as far as you got to have it in line, right? You got to have the training down. You got to be able to pay your guys a good amount of money because they need to look the part, hair combed up, right? They're, they can't be having 5 teeth missing from their front jawline. I'm sorry. I mean, it just can't happen.
Yep.
And yes, that's a big one, man. They're like, oh yeah, they're not our people. They're not our people, or they're not our client.
Yeah.
And that's the whole reason why I've worked with, the $500 million companies, and I've worked with the 2 million, 1 million to 4 million companies. And that's my bread and butter. I love working in that area. Nothing to get to anything.
Yeah.
It's just that for me, being able to help the single mom out in her situation is where. But to stay on topic, you have to have your training package down. You got to make sure that they are white glove, and you got to make sure they know their stuff.
Yep.
Right. So if someone's going to ask you a question, and here's the other difference. So sorry, is sushi. I don't know if you ever went to I don't know if anybody eats sushi, but anybody listening, yes, you go to a sushi restaurant, right? You're gonna have a way different experience than going to just a regular basic Longhorns or something, depending on the sushi restaurant you go to.
Yep.
But if you go to a high-end, let's just say steakhouse, you go to a high-end steakhouse, they're gonna explain to you everything about that steak and really sell you on just their explanation of it, right? Opposed to you go to Longhorns, man, you're getting that thing dropped on your table and you hope it's still not alive or that there's not a bug inside of it, right?
Yeah.
No offense, I'm not saying Longhorn has bugs, but I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat. Right? We'll get the letter in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing back in the day, I was a waiter, man, and I served tables at a lot of different places, and I went to a high-end sushi restaurant, and it was harder than college. And the studying that had to go into it, the training that had to go into it, knowing how every single roll was made. And then you got 50, 70 rolls that are sitting on this menu. And when you go to the table, you had a whole different process, a whole different presentation, and a whole different explanation. And if they asked me a question about a roll, I had to be able to think on my feet, customize, and be able to assist a customer at that level. And that's exactly what it's all customer service. And that's what it comes down to.
Correct. 100%. No, I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Tom, do you have anything? I think we covered a lot of it. This will be a little bit shorter episode, but that's okay. Tom, do you have anything else to add besides the? There we go.
Yeah, people buy demons.
So, if you need any finance solutions, I like switch my voice, and we now have sponsors, and it's
right. That's it. And here comes a drop for the sponsor.
Brought to you by IHCS.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, cool, guys. So if you're listening to the episode, go ahead and rewatch or re-listen or whatever you need. We went over some good stuff here, but just remember it's from the ground up. If you're going to go in this direction, really commit to high-end clients. Know that there's going to be an investment in that direction. Know that everything has to be on par, right? If everything looks great and then you show up with, your tech doesn't look the part, you're going to lose the sale, right? You might have it all the way to the door, and then when they hit the door, you lost it. So make sure everything's built from the ground up, and then we will see you on the next episode, which will be number 10, ideally next week. So until next time.